Okay, we'll call to order. We're still missing somebody, are we?
Nancy.
No, Nancy had to leave.
Oh, she did?
Oh, she came.
Okay. We'll reconvene the December 17th meeting of District 99 Board of Education. We've taken the roll. We've been in closed session. And now we're ready to start the general meeting. I think the first order of business now is item 3. We'll rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The item 4 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from November 19th, business meeting and closed meeting, and December 3rd, special workshop meeting. Any corrections, clarifications to the minutes? If there are none, the chair would invite a motion to approve.
So moved.
Member Pavicic moves.
Second.
Member Beckman seconds. Call the vote, please.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Item 5 on the agenda is the first reception of visitors. Anybody in the audience wish to address the board on matters on our agenda this evening? Anybody? Okay. Okay. Then we'll move on to item 6, information reports. We have item 6A, communications, 6B, summer school, and 6C, the school calendar. Dr. McDonald?
Thank you, Mr. White. The first report, communications monthly report. This is an effort by Mrs. Browning and I to inform the board about how we are going to evaluate our communications on a monthly basis. And the board has all received different artifacts for the presentation. Unfortunately, Mrs. Browning has 2 sick kids, and her husband is out of town on a business trip, so she's not here tonight. And my recommendation to the board is to postpone the report until January, where she can also be here to share some of her insights. I think some of the information she's given the board should give you an idea of the kinds of things that we're looking at and where we'd like to go in the future.
Okay, thank you. Item 6B will be the summer school report.
The summer school report is a report we make annually regarding the summer school that was held in 2012 and includes some recommendations for 2013. Dr. Miner will make that report, and Mr. Tilton, the director, is also here so we can answer questions if need be. Dr. Miner?
Very good. Thank you, Dr. McDonald. As Dr. McDonald noted, Tim Tilton, Dean of North High School, had overseen the summer school for this last year. The classes were held at South, and as we usually do, there were standard academic classes, driver's ed, some intervention support offerings as well, and then we also continued with the summer bridge for incoming freshmen, strategies for academic success, back on track, and then online credit recovery classes. All in all, we had 382 students participate, and there was a rise in numbers of students who were enrolling in our online credit recovery program, and this is exceptionally good because that means our students can stay on track with regard to their pursuit of their high school diplomas. You had a listing in the report of several courses that did not run due to lack of enrollment. Certainly we'll open those up, and again, it's generated by the student attendance. The other piece with regard to those students, again, I like to focus on the online credit recovery program because those students were able to participate in 71 classes and get a total of 38 credits. Those were students who otherwise would not have been on track. And overall, that is the primary purpose of the summer school program, with 71% of them choosing to repeat courses or take courses for credit so that they can get better GPAs or make sure that they are accomplishing. And just some other statistics that weren't included in your report. With our Back on Track class, we had 13 students who participated in that. And of those students, 77% finished with a C or better, and currently with the first quarter, 70% of those students are still getting C's or better. So that is a positive piece. Even more exciting, I think, is with the Summer Bridge program. A total of 47 students participated either in a combination of first and second or only first or second semester. And as of the end of the first quarter in English, Mathematics, Science, and Social Studies, 90% of those students are still on track with A's, B's, and C's. So it just shows the value of how these two programs are making a difference with students. I want to take some time, though, to open up and give Tim Tilton just the opportunity to share some general perceptions, and since he was the author of the report, to talk about a little bit different look that you might have noticed for this year, to highlight some of the pieces that we're especially proud of.
Thank you, Dr. Miner. Actually, I wanted to use this time, obviously, for any questions, but also to point out to you, too, the last table that's added here in the report is a new table that we haven't had before. Over the years, summer school has kind of melded into several different separate programs, but under one big umbrella, and we thought it'd be a good idea to be able to to look at each one of those programs individually at a quick snapshot as far as net balance, and then also cumulatively as to how much summer school does end up running from year to year. And so interestingly, this past year we actually came out not so much in the negative at all, actually, if you compare to some of the other years. So a positive note there. And then certainly want to open up for any questions that you may have about anything.
Do you have any questions?
It's a great report. There's so much information. Doesn't leave any questions.
With regard to recommendations for next year, we just like to highlight we have utilized Title I funds in a different way, and I think that initially Title I was used to cover the summer school classes for the freshman summer bridge as well as the back on track algebra. We're recommending that that continues because those are for the students who are most at risk, and we want to make sure that we continue to support them. Secondly, with the numbers of students with free and reduced lunch rising, we feel it's valuable that they have the opportunity to continue to pursue and stay on track. So that would be a recommendation to continue that with regard to tuition for those students who qualify for free and reduced lunch waivers during the existing year. In that way, we would project that we would have a balanced budget once again. Given those two pieces, we would also maintain that the tuition for students remain the same as do the stipends for the upcoming year. The tuition has been at $195 since 2001, given the fact that we were in the black for the first time in 5 years, as well as how we're offsetting the cost for Title I. We feel that we can maintain our tuition as well as maintain the stipend rate, which had been raised slightly last year. In addition to the Title I funds covering free and reduced lunch, we're also recommending that it covers the cost of transportation. About 33% of our students had taken advantage of the busing, and again, getting students to the class so they can be successful is part of what we feel is most important. So that would be a recommendation too, to support transportation. And finally, you'll see the notes for the calendar year, and we're suggesting the first semester runs through June 10th through Thursday, June 27th, and the second semester begins Friday, June 28th through Friday, July 19th. Going forward, we would suggest that July 4th and 5th be non-attendance days, since the 4th of July falls on a Thursday. Certainly, Friday might be a tough sell for people to come back for one day of summer school. So, but that would balance both semesters at 14 days in length. So those are the recommendations we make for the upcoming year.
Okay, and then as part of taking action, that's included in the consent agenda later on this evening. It looks like approval of summer school recommendation. Okay, any other questions? Any questions for Dr. Miner on this topic? Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to the school calendar.
Thank you, Mr. White. The board will recall we brought the school calendar to the board as a draft and to the November business meeting. Since that time, we've taken some time to look at the calendar again. We've shared with other parties, the DGEA, and the elementary school districts that are associated with District 99. As the board is aware, we're also dealing with some changes in public policy regarding to school calendars. And we've dealt with one part of that. We're still wrestling with another part, but it's not at the level that we think it's going to alter the actual calendar. And we have made a few changes since the last draft, and I will review those for you in detail. To start, the first day of school the first day of work for teachers would be August 26th. Wednesday, August 28th would be the first day for students, and we were able to preserve the practice we've had in the past of having the upperclassmen come in the morning for 3 hours and the freshmen come in the afternoon, and that gives our freshmen at both campuses the opportunity to get the lay of the land, so to speak, without the upperclassmen, find their routes to classes, find their lockers, do all those kinds of things. So we are very much sold on that, and we are able to keep that even under the new guidelines. One of the changes that we've decided to make is to, instead of observing Pulaski Day, is to take the Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving as a non-attendance day, sort of switching. The reason we've gone to that are a couple. One being that several of the elementary districts are following that schedule already. And usually we run into conflict if we have school in a situation like that and they don't. In the past, we've had a half day on that day. And that just doesn't seem to work quite as well. So we're going to try this as an experiment to take that day off and not observe Pulaski Day. The shortened day, in fact, will move to the day following parent conferences because the teachers work extra time on the conference day, and so the shortened day is sort of a quid pro quo. The vacation schedule would be the same for the holiday break and the spring break. Again, we will have school, we will have classes on Pulaski Day. And the schedule actually ends up to be slightly longer in the second semester than in the first semester. We feel that's acceptable, however, because we lose 2 days in the second semester for Prairie State Achievement Exam testing, and the last day of the school year is not, it's only nominally an attendance day for kids who come in and make up work or make up exams and on the last day of school. So, in effect, we think this balances relatively fairly across both semesters, and we would like to offer some of these changes to see how they work, if they're favorable to our students and our staff. We have also included in this calendar the late start days that we use for professional learning communities, and a couple other opportunities during the year for cross-campus curriculum articulation work. We have not increased those. They're the same as they have been for the last 2 years. So, do you have any questions about this calendar and what we try to do?
Notice what might be a discrepancy, but I don't know. February 17th is showing spring break begins then,
That should be President's Day.
and that should be President's
President's
Day.
Day.
Right. It's a tiny thing. I understood it, but,
Good catch, Mrs.
well,
Wow.
sorry, I
You'd
didn't
want
catch
to
it
start
earlier.
spring break on the 17th or 30th.
I thought it sounded like a good, and then go through April 4th? Yeah.
Interesting spring around here.
The whole month of March off.
That's right, thinking ahead, I like
Save a
it.
lot on fuel costs,
Any
that's
other?
right.
Okay. Any other
I'm just
questions?
sorry I didn't notice it earlier.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that.
The early dismissal days in September, the north being one day and south being the other day, can you remind me why why those wouldn't be on the same day? I forgot.
Because I believe they follow the
Open house.
open houses on Thursday night.
Right.
There have been years when the open houses are on the same night. There are pluses and minuses to that. This year, and I think next year, they're going to be on different nights.
So it means the-
Okay. And then just purely from a parent's perspective, I never thought I used to have a different opinion about the late starts, those Wednesday late starts, but I have to say, it works pretty well. I mean, have it in the middle of the week, letting my son sleep in for an extra hour or so, it really is helpful to him. And so I know that's not the intent of the late start, but I'm sure there's other parents that appreciate it similarly. It ends up having a fringe benefit.
That's nice.
And,
Little break for them.
Well, and having the kids well rested definitely affects performance. I mean, really, there's been a lot of discussion about, I mean, when you're in high school, the kids really ought to be starting later, not earlier, but their schedules are so full. Anyhow, I digress. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, that concludes item 6, information reports. Item 7 is the consent agenda, subparts A through F, and we have a sheet in front of us regarding item A. I invite a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Member Davenport moves. Member
Pavasich
Pavasich seconds. Call the vote, please.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Julie Beckman,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon,
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye. The consent agenda has been approved. Item 8, recommendations for action. Dr. McDonald.
Tonight, the recommendation for action is to approve the curriculum proposals that the board heard at the workshop 2 weeks ago in detail. And we're offering, they've been on display, of course, and we have not, to my knowledge, heard additional questions. So we will recommend that the board approve these new courses as they were presented at the workshop on December 3rd? 3rd. Glad to entertain questions, but it was not our intent to go through them again as a time saving.
Does anybody have any factual questions before I invite a motion? I'll invite a motion to approve the curriculum proposal.
So moved.
Member Beckman moves.
A second?
Vice President Boyle seconds. Anybody wish to discuss the motion? Okay, no discussion. We will call the vote.
Julie Beckman,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon,
Aye.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye. That motion carries. The curriculum proposal has been approved. Item 9, old business. Second reading on policy committee reports. Normally I ask Ms. Kupka to take care of that, but she had to leave early. As always, this is the second time up on a number of these policies. I have not received any feedback from any board member with any questions about any of these. I don't think anybody else has. Does any member of the board have questions or concerns before I invite a motion to approve the policies based on the second reading? Now, Joanne, did we discuss whether we need to do these by roll call or whether we can do them by
No,
acclamation?
we can do them all together.
But do we need a roll call or do by acclamation? Okay, with that, unless anybody has questions or concerns, the chair invites a motion to approve the policies of the policy committee report that is reported in item 8A for the second reading. I'm supposed to make that motion. I was going to say,
That's what I was about to suggest.
That's my job.
It's either you or Nancy.
I move that we adopt the policies listed for second reading in item 8A of the agenda. And Nancy's not here, so I need a second.
Second.
Member Pavasich seconds. Any discussion? Call that vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Julie Beckman,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Those policies have been approved. As has been our practice under item 10, Ms. Kupka and I have met with the policy committee and working with Dr. McDonald, and we have first readings. On this one, do we want Mr. Stalen to explain the one policy regarding the?
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
There is some detail to that, and
Yes.
it's,
Right. The key thing here is that the State Comptroller's Office has offered a new program to assist local units of government in collecting hard-to-collect or what otherwise might eventually become bad debts or write-offs of receivables. And right from the start, I want you to please understand, we have a very, very low non-collection rate. It's below 1% per year. And typically, it only arises in cases, well, if students withdraw There's hard times collecting those fees. Generally, the fees, though, are of such a low level that they're not worth pursuing legally, incurring any legal expenses to do this. So those are the debts that I think we would probably target here. Some that are probably over $500, but less than, I think our highest ones are like, for the most part, in fees are like, $1,200, $1,300, several years worth of fees that just were never collected from some students, either withdrawn or they went through graduation but didn't care to attend the service, the promotion service and get the formal diploma. So there's very few people that fall into that grouping. This would be there would be some administrative procedures. It would be done by central administration, working with the building associate principals in terms of making sure that the individual's been given an opportunity to dispute the debt that's owed. I think just the formal act of saying we're going to refer this to the state controller's office for collection might bring some people in to do that just because of the formality involved with that. But if they really don't dispute or can't dispute the collection or the amount due, we would then give it to the state controller's office. They would then also give them another opportunity to contest it at that level. And then eventually they would take that and put it, not a legal lien, but they would just keep a record of it for the individuals that owed us. And if there's ever any money that's coming from the state, they technically call it an offset account. If the state tax refund, income tax refund is due, they would have it on record and they would first pay us back before they send any state checks to the individual. So it is a good idea. It really is a good idea. Several schools are doing it starting this year. We think it's a good idea to, at least try it and see if it doesn't help us collect some of these older ones. You can only go back as far as 7 years. We really only keep records 6 or 7 years anyways in terms of those older ones. And so I recommend that we join this program. And to do that, we would need to have an intergovernmental agreement approved by both the Board of Education and then the State Controller's Office. And that's really just them making sure that we do our due diligence at our level. That's really what the intergovernmental agreement is doing. It's laying out the procedures for us to make sure that we give those individuals the opportunity to contest it so that they aren't dealing with a lot of things that come back and say, oh, I didn't owe this $8 part of it, or they don't want to have any issues at that level. And so really I think that's why they recommended the intergovernmental agreement. And actually, during policy, I apologize, I had indicated we might have an action item with that this time. It didn't, thinking it through, it didn't work to have that first. So we're going to look for the first reading today of a policy. And IASB does have a policy, the press system, for this particular situation that we would recommend this for first reading this time, and then second reading, we would expect it to be in January. And at that point, have the intergovernmental agreement also as an action item in the January meeting.
Okay, as always, all of these policies are for first reading. And as always, if any member of the board has feedback for myself or Ms. Kafka or Dr. McDonald before we bring this up to vote next month. Any questions on these items? Okay, the next item on our agenda is the item 11, second reception of visitors. Has anybody changed their mind and not wish to address the board? Nope. Going once, going twice. Okay, we can end the second reception of visitors. Item 12, communications and announcements. Paul May, Mr. Mattoon, any report regarding Len?
There's no report. There will not be a meeting in December where we anxiously await the January session of the Illinois State Legislature, at which time information will be feverishly upon us. And I'm sure Dr. McDonald, his capacity as co-chair of LEND, will definitely keep us informed, if not on a monthly basis, definitely on a weekly basis with all the changes.
And also add that I'm part of a subcommittee of LEND that is considering the issue of detachments, and with the idea that perhaps we prepare a position paper either to give to the regional Board of School Trustees or the state legislature in terms of recommended changes in current policies.
Excellent.
quite a bit of angst about this in the county.
Really?
Apparently, there's a lot of
There's a lot of this.
detachment activities occurring in the county, very expensive for the school districts, and frankly, even for the people seeking to detach, because they're paying the law,
lawyers.
both sides of it. But that's a subcommittee of Len that we met for the first time last week.
Okay, we move on to 12B, Assessed Report. Mrs. Beckman?
Excuse me. I guess the most important report is that our longtime secretary, who has been with SACID for over 40 years, is retiring. And there will be a big reception for her in January. She's been with it since the original SACID and through all the changes since then. Other than that, SACID is running quite well.
Okay, thank you. 12C, report from the foundation. Mrs. Pavicic.
We did not have a meeting this month, but it has been decided that we will not be doing the pizza wars in January, so, because a little lack of interest from some of the pizza parlors, so we've got to get them on board with us in order to do the pizza wars, so.
Interesting. Wouldn't that have been a moneymaker for them?
Well, you would think, but
Okay.
that didn't happen. So we will keep you posted on any other fundraisers that we have coming up, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Any other communications or announcements before we move on to upcoming board meetings? Anybody? Okay, our next meeting, we'll have a special workshop meeting here at the Administrative Service Center on January 14th. And then on January 28th will be our next regular board meeting. This will be the last time we meet before the Christmas holidays and the New Year's. I wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever's appropriate for you, but Merry Christmas. And Chair invites a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Member Beckman moves.
Second.
Member has a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. The meeting's adjourned.